Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kaja May, and welcome to Game Over Vancouver. The Vancouver Canucks just beat the Carolina Hurricanes 4-3 in a shootout, which is not what I thought I was going to be saying tonight. Just before we get into the show, a quick message from Sports Interaction. Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus, please play responsibly. All right. I have a member of the Surrey Eagles organization here with me today. Hello to Joey Pitt. Thank you for joining me today on Game Over.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Longtime SDP fan. So to see the network expand the way it has and see you be the one to get the break out of it, I mean, awesome. And to see you throw me a bone here, it's even better.
Well, thank you for all that you do. We're gonna talk about a bit about the Surrey Eagles in a bit and Joey's role with them. Proud Surrey person myself, so go Eagles, and so I reached out to Joey because Joey's also just an awesome person and very funny. I will say that. Also, great hair. I will say.
Quit buttering me up over there.
All good. I just will say, before we get into the game recap tonight, we learned during the second period tonight that Canucks legend Gino Odjick sadly passed away at the age of 52. He played 18 seasons in Vancouver. He was still very connected to the franchise and the community. He's the 17th highest penalty minutes in NHL history with 2,567. So rest in peace, Gino. Condolences to his friends and family, and your chance in Rogers Arena and also the Coliseum will live on.
It's funny with Gino. I don't like the term fan favorite gets tossed around in hockey a lot, but I don't think there's a player in the history of the Vancouver Canucks that's embodied that phrase more than Gino Odjick. The Gino chants ringing out 20 years after he played his last game in a Canucks jersey speaks for itself. Um, if you're unfamiliar with Gino's time in a Canucks sweater, two clips, they're obviously already circulating around Twitter. One is his penalty shot against the Calgary Flames, him sniping Mike Vernon glove side to the Coliseum exploding. And the other one is Game 6 against the St. Louis Blues in the 95 playoffs, where Gino decided to fight the entire team. So two unforgettable moments from the Algonquin assassin, and 52, far too young, but we know he's been battling what he's been battling for a very long time. So, Godspeed.
All right. Now, to get into the game, which some people have been saying was a win for Gino, considering the first goal came after it was mentioned on the broadcast. We beat the Carolina Hurricanes in a shootout. Were you expecting this tonight, especially after how the first period went?
Well, when the game starts, it feels like another typical 2023 Canucks game. John and John are great, and that's pretty much where it ends. I think that's very evident on the opening goal, which came 2.5 minutes into the opening frame. Svechnikov he has a runway to send this pass over to Paul Stastny. There's it's between like East and Westgate in Manning Park. There's so much space for him to feather this puck through, and Delia doesn't have a chance as he goes high glove. So that's 1-0. And from there, it kind of felt okay. It's going to be a typical Canucks game, before last minute cheese happens there as Martinook gets one. So it just felt like it's going to be a typical game. And it's sort of par for the course. I sent out a tweet at the end of the year, beginning of this year, saying I don't want to see the Canucks win another game this season.
Yeah, I saw
'Cause
that. I saw that.
I'm fully on the Bedard wagon. Bring the kid home, make him pull a Lindros, do it. So
He's like a
I
fox.
totally I don't want to see him go anywhere else, but so I want to see him here, and that means Vancouver loses every game. That means Vancouver loses every game. And then you jump to the second period of play, and John Shorthouse, who is everybody in this chat knows is the best play-by-play in the National Hockey League, and also the reason I'm a play-by-play broadcaster, has the unfortunate duty of announcing Gino's passing. And like within minutes, Ethan Bear. And you want to talk about script writing? That's straight out of a Disney movie. That could have come out of the Mighty Ducks, you know? Um, to see like Gino, who's a player who's inspired so many First Nations hockey players over the past 30 years or so, and Ethan Bear to get a goal, bar down, going up to the heavens. When you think about it, it's poetic justice. And that's where the train starts rolling for the Vancouver Canucks. And, from the second that Bear scored that goal, it's like, I still fully agree with my tweet statement, but this is a gimme here. This is a mulligan. They can have this win, and I was
Mhm.
all in from there.
Yeah, it's their first win out of the 5-game road trip. Arguably against the hardest team to win against, considering the Hurricanes, the only team that's ahead of them are the Bruins, and the Bruins are absolutely insane. Um, yeah, it was certainly after the Bear goal. Honestly, I teared up a little bit because it was poetic justice, basically
Oh,
what you
my
said.
girlfriend and I had a good cry,
Yeah.
we had a real cry after that, and to see to see it happen the way it did, JT getting that goal in the third, getting hopping on his own rebound. We talk about Gino there, who was Gino's best friend, Pavel Bure. Never give
Hmm.
up on a play with your speed, right? Get your own rebound. That's a Bure staple. And JT Miller channeling Gino's buddy there, and he gets his 17th of the season. That ties the game up initially, right? And all of a sudden, the gears are pumping in your heart. You're pumping. It felt so good. It's like, this is the Canucks hockey that I remember from when I was a kid. I'm
Hmm.
totally invested in this. And we're a bottom feeder, but like, sometimes the game of hockey presents storylines that are bigger than the game of hockey, but the only way they can be expressed is through the game of hockey, and that's exactly what we had tonight.
Yeah, I think about this one tweet that was circulating a few weeks ago where it was just like music can never have or sports can never have the same effect as music or something. I'm just like I've been more affected by this game than I have or the sequence of how these events unfolded than I have for like any song ever. Like I'm sorry One Direction, you do nothing for me. But um outing myself as a One Direction fan used to be.
Best
Um
song ever is the best song ever, though.
oh
Like, that's just like no cap,
That was
unironic.
our elementary school's anthem when I was like 10.
Really?
So yeah. Um
How much older am I than you?
I'm
Because I still
20.
try to think of myself at 24, but I guess I was in middle school when 1D hit,
Yeah,
when
I
all
was
us cool kids were trying to pretend we didn't like it.
I was 8 when the Canucks lost to the Bruins in the finals.
Oh yeah, I was let's not go there.
Let's not
Let's
go there.
let's
Yeah.
keep this is a really nice night. Let's try and keep it that way.
Yeah, let's not think about that. I was yeah, it was insane. When Aho scored, it was 3-2. I was like, it's gonna be another one goal loss. It's gonna be another one goal loss. Like that's just been the method over this road trip essentially. 5-4 Pittsburgh, 5-4 Tampa, 4-3 last night in Florida. And I'm like, okay, it's 3-2. This is where it ends. I stopped paying attention. Like they pulled the goalie and I was like, okay, whatever. They're gonna make a joke about Miller and Delia, blah blah blah. And then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, just continue just writing out because I had changed the stream plan a little bit after they tied it up, but I was like, you know what, never mind. And then Besser's course was 17 seconds remaining, so I'm wearing my
You had to
best.
keep it on your toes.
I know I'm wearing my Besser black skate right now. I had a venti iced coffee before this, and I realized that might have been a bad decision considering how fast my heart was beating during the overtime and shootout. Yeah, I had to check my Fitbit to make sure it wasn't like super, super fast. Uh, Miller, when he's fast, is good. That is one positive thing I will say about JT Miller. Miller, yeah, on his own rebound, like you said, don't give up on the play. That was one play that JT Miller shouldn't have given up on, and yeah, he didn't, thankfully, for once. There's been other
Just a
moments.
just a word on that. A fast JT Miller is the best JT Miller. When JT Miller is going at full speed with the puck, that's when he most resembles 2019, 2020 JT Miller, which is the
Hmm.
best JT Miller. So, it's the times that he doesn't have the puck where he's expected to defend where we see the flaws in him. But when he's
Yeah.
full blast with the puck, it's like, oh, that's my guy right there.
Yeah, it's like that's my guy who like split the defense against the Senators last year. Again, it was the Senators, so it's not really hard. But
That's the guy I made a Timothy Goes to School fan cam for.
oh my gosh.
Have you never seen that? I'll send it to you when we're off
Oh
air.
my, I need to see that fan cam. I love fan
Yeah.
cams. Yeah, even if we weren't best on the face-off dot, I want you to guess how many face-offs Bo Horvat won tonight. This is before the Besser goal.
Okay, before the Besser goal. So Bo has this knack of being the best face-off guy in the world, or he'll just have a bad night. It's one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I saw, Horvat was winning every draw. So I don't want to. Are you going to give me the percentage or the exact number?
Exact number. It was
All right, put
before
me
they
down
pulled the goalie.
from before they pulled the goalie. So this is for the first 58 minutes of the hockey game. I'm going to say he won 24 face-offs because he seemed like he was dialed in.
He won 4 out of 21.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Up until
He looked so good though.
Yeah, he might have looked good, but they showed that on the broadcast. I was like, are they sure? Yeah, it's insane considering Bo is like the only player usually night in, night out that has over 51% on the face-off dot. And that really stunned me too.
Because
Yeah.
that just threw my credibility out the window. I'm never going to get another job in broadcasting again. Why did I agree to do this?
I'm so
Kaja,
sorry.
you ruined my life.
I'm sorry.
Oh, win a draw. No,
Win a-
it's
was a bad
imperative.
night.
But that said, though, it's like, they got the job done. That's all that matters.
Yep. Yeah. Who cares?
And let's jump to the shootout because we actually haven't talked about the shootout yet.
Oh
So
yeah.
So 2 for 3 in the career of Andrei Kuzmenko in the shootout in his very short National Hockey League career so far as he went back bar down.
Mhm.
So an absolute rocket. And that's you always talk about the Game 7 overtime goal that you think of when you're playing road hockey as a kid. That's exactly how it goes. Right over the goalie's shoulder, right into the back bar, makes a nice sound. The only difference is it's just shootout goal for a bottom feeder. So, that's what it is.
It is what it is, but hey, we got 2 points. We're like, what, 10 points closer to Edmonton? Or did they went up last night, didn't they? Anyway. Yeah, Kuzmenko, he's showing that he's a monster in the shootout. Maybe that's just him, with new tricks that haven't been shown before in the NHL, or not really in the NHL, but he's kind of new to this whole thing, but also pretty good at it. I thought Brent Burns was an interesting choice. I understand they've put him out for 4 shootout attempts before this one, and he scored 1. I would not take Brent Burns in my round 1 shootout human.
Yeah, it sort of seems like you're expecting a Merrick Malik through the legs goal.
Yeah.
But that's supposed to happen in round 13, not round 1.
Yeah. Brent Burns would be like my 6th round, and Adam Gaudette scored in a 5th round once last year for the Sens. So
I was at that game. I was right behind the net when the goal was scored.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, you were in the Larshiders group there?
I was right next to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. No, it was really fun. I was with my friend who was a Sens fan, and she was like, well, I'm happy either way, and I was like, dude, shut up. It was like, it hurt even more.
The second Al announced it was Gaudette. The second Al announced it was Gaudette.
It was like, it's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. That's why I recorded, and I was recording every shootout goal, but that one was, I was like, okay, it's going in. It's 5th round, Adam Gaudette. Yeah, round 2, Andrei Svechnikov. Of course he scores, that's Andrei Svechnikov. I don't know. I'm kind of obsessed with him, but that's just because of, like, that one. I watch a lot of funny clips of the Carolina Hurricanes, because their hockey may be boring because their coach played in the dead puck era and won a cup in the dead puck era, so that's why he probably likes it. But the other stuff, like the reason that Ron Cherry called them a bunch of jerks is because they do all these, like, fun I forgot what, like, Storm Surge, is that what it's called?
There you go.
Okay, cool. I couldn't remember the name. I said like Storm whatever in a text earlier. I could not remember the name for the life of me. But yeah, Carolina has a lot of fun things going on. They're just hockey. It's just so hard to watch sometimes, and especially if it's against the Canucks, because like that's just even more pain personally. But yeah, like there's one player. I don't exactly know who, but it was like the Mr. Svechnikov. Like he just like has like the highest pitch voice when he does it, and that's how I just say that sometimes, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's Andrei Svechnikov. Of course, he scores, and of course, JT Miller does it.
And but it all comes through in the end because Elias Pettersson, and he's, those Swedish guys, they all look up to Fopa, and he's mastered the Peter Forsberg move.
Yep.
At this point, Pettersson could probably do it in his sleep. He could probably do it to any goaltender in the National Hockey League at this point. He's so silky smooth with it. He's so good at baiting the goalie that he's not going to do it because it's actually funny. The second Petey came in when he was between the hash marks, my stream froze. I
Oh
had the
my
spinning
gosh.
wheel while he was
No.
between the hash marks, and we're just like,
Did,
uh,
did
and
he
then of
do it?
course, and then it jumps back in, and then he pulls the move off, and it was an even better reaction than I think if he just did it, honestly.
Yeah. Um,
But it's an absolute filthy move, and shout out to that time that Corey Hirsch asked Petey about the goal because Forsberg first did it to Hershey.
oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's yeah, he's done the Forsberg a few times. Love it every time he does it. He's just gonna be awesome for the rest of his career, and hopefully he stays with us. Hopefully he doesn't pull a Kachuk. Yeah, I
Nelson
really
Atkinson in the chat says it's going to be a hat pick. Absolutely.
absolutely.
Call your
Um,
boss.
yeah, absolutely deserves to be in a hat pick. Pedersen, basically for carrying the Canucks on his shoulders most games, deserves it. He deserves a hat pick and a chiropractor assessment. At this point, I really thought Teravainen's goal went in. I was really scared. But it didn't, and it's all good. We won. We won the game. We have 2 points out of a possible 10. We're gonna talk about what comes next, but first of all, can I get a like, comments in chat, hit subscribe, rate and review if you're listening on a podcast platform. I am at RealKaiMay on Twitter, and Joey is at _ Joey Pitt with
There
two
we go. I
T's.
have to have it spread across different. So there's an at Joey Pitt that hasn't sent out a tweet since 2012.
Oh my gosh.
And, I check it every couple weeks just to make sure. I want to steal it so bad, but,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's like an at Kaya May that's out there somewhere, and it's I haven't really checked it, but I know I used to have an at, but I used it on the wrong account, so now there's a on my old at, which I'm not gonna leak, has like a thread of a One Direction song analysis, and I never want that to see the light of day again. So anyway,
well,
yeah, I relate to I'll send you the link. I'll find the link.
I was about to say, like, somebody's going to find that eventually.
Oh yeah, they're gonna find, like, it's easy, but I don't know if anybody actually knows my old at, and it's kind of anyway. We're getting very off topic.
Lucky.
Yes, 2
Can
points.
we talk about what comes next?
Can we talk about what comes next? Yes, what comes next for the Vancouver Canucks? Because last night I was mentioned during the broadcast on 32 Thoughts. Elliot Friedman said that Rick Tocchet is apparently in the line of hierarchy for the next Canucks coach. And then Bruce Boudreau had to be asked it again after the game. He said something along the lines of, I don't have the exact quote here, but I just wake up every morning and go to work until they tell me not to, which made me very sad.
Breaks my heart.
Breaks my heart. Bruce deserves better than this. It's like, it's their a third coach is not going to change the trajectory of this team. At all. A third coach in 2 years, essentially. It's not going to change the trajectory of this team. Basically, like, I don't know, I'm going to call them the puppets of management, because I'm not sure they're really doing anything, because the team seems to be operating at the same speed that it was under Benning. So it doesn't seem that Benning's the problem. It seems like somebody's controlling the puppet strings, but that just is my opinion. It's obvious that Bruce isn't their guy. Do you think they're going to wait for the off-season when Bruce's contract is technically over, or will they fire him?
It's what they should do.
They should do, because they've mentioned...
It's what they should do, but that's not what they will do. The rumors have been going around Twitter. I hate to cut you off, because I know this is exactly what you're going to say, but the rumors are going around Twitter right now that this potentially could have been the last game that Bruce coaches behind the bench for the Vancouver Canucks and potentially in the National Hockey League because, guys getting up there.
Yeah.
And it's a crying shame because Bruce is such a great coach. His time behind the bench in Washington and Minnesota, like he's a very good coach. And last year, I was there for his first night behind the bench in a Canucks jersey, or I mean, in behind the Canucks bench rather. Sorry, broadcaster jargon. I kind of
Yeah.
anyway. So but I was there opening night. I was in the crowd when I was in the section when the Bruce There It Is chant first came into infancy. Like I adore Bruce. I think the things that he did for this club last year are immeasurable when you compare it to the way things have been since the lockout in 2012, basically. And it was the most fun that we've had as a fan base outside of the month in Edmonton for the pod
Yeah.
playoffs. It's the most fun the fan base had had in about 10 years. So I think Bruce's contributions to this franchise, although it'll be short if he gets let go this week. I mean, it's a basement team and he never got to make the playoffs, but he made it fun for a while. And that's all you can really ask at the end of the day. And it's a shame that he's going to be leaving the club and potentially the league this way because he deserves a heck of a lot better than he's getting right now from Canucks ownership and management. But as he's been a scapegoat all season long, he's been openly thrown under the bus by Rutherford and Alvin. And he's done nothing but handle it with class. He keeps his head up high and he handles everything with so much professionalism and class. And I think that's something that can't be said for a lot of us. The way he's handled it has been absolutely commendable. And, fingers crossed that he lands on his feet and with another team and he can do to them what he did to us and crack a playoff spot.
Yeah, hopefully he gets closer to home in Ontario. Maybe the Leafs need assistant coach. Or who knows if Keefe's out at this time next year. Hopefully not. Personally, I like Sheldon Keefe. But anyway, yeah, best for Bruce. I think. Wait, St. Louis has gaslit the NHL into thinking a mid-season coaching change will give any bottoming team a cup.
That is
That
fair.
is
That is
so true.
100%
And
fair.
now look at them, they're bad again. Well,
Well, I mean, when you have the biggest hothead in the National Hockey League between the pipes,
it's
it's
so
bound to happen.
it's so funny to me that the biggest hothead in the National Hockey League, like, how is Brad Marchand like a sensible person now?
Brad Marchand's likable in comparison.
I
Like,
know. Like, I like Brad Marchand now. Like, I have no idea what the
yeah,
hell
like
has happened.
unironically,
Unironically,
Bruins public relations and social media have done a tremendous job in making Brad Marchand look like a likable person.
he's a TikTok
Like,
star. He's a TikTok star.
yeah.
That's basically what he is. He's
Are you new here? Like, brilliant. 10 out of
are
10.
you new here?
Great
Like,
TikTok.
amazing TikTok. Like, I saw that last year and I was like, okay, I guess I like Brad Marchand now. And now he's, I don't know, like, I'm starting to forgive the 2011 Bruins. Not for, like, the illegal pads. I don't forgive Tim Thomas for that. But I can forgive
It's hard
some
to fault
things.
like 20-year-old Brad Marchand in comparison to 31 or 30-year-old Brad Marchand where he is now.
Yeah.
I don't have the ages in front of me, obviously,
Yeah.
but like he's changed so much as a player, and as
Mm-hmm.
well as like he has that pest label, but he's also so good at hockey. Like he's so good at playing the game. Like
Yeah, I
the
think I just
play
like
he's
rats.
got this year, like
Yeah.
because like when I was a kid, I loved Matt Cook. So
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's in my blood,
I
I guess. But I didn't like when Cook left and did all the. Remember the Carlson? Let's not go into
Oh,
that.
yeah. I Yeah, I don't know. I like a lot of pest players, but are also good, like, offensive wise. Like the Kachucks, Marchand,
Mhm.
Audrey, I guess you could say that, but he's not.
They're effective for a reason, though.
Yeah, they're
Like
effective.
they're the ones that are willing to get to those gritty areas. They're the ones that are willing to take those checks to
Tom
how many
Wilson.
times do you see those guys? Exactly, right? That guy gets beat up and he'll just sit there and T-pose and look at you.
He went to the All-Star game with like a broken nose last year. And he got booed in Vegas, but because he had to fill in for Ovechkin, because Ovechkin was like, "Yeah, peace out, I'm not going again." But yeah, oh, that's gonna be funny this year when Ovechkin and Sydney both miss again for like the 500th time. I love I love the All-Star game. Yeah.
I like the idea that there's people in like the NHL offices in New York that are like, no, this is the year that Ovi's gonna come. Like, we
Yeah.
gotta get him in. This is the year he'll finally make the trip out.
Sidney Crosby was asked in a post-game interview. He's like, "Oh yeah, are you guys gonna oh wait, what would he was asked like, are you gonna go to this year to the All-Star game?" He's like laughing and he's like, "Oh, did I miss it a couple times?" Like, dude, just say you're gonna go back to Nova Scotia for a week. Like, come on. They're basically asking people to work on their days off. Speaking of NHL making bad capitalistic marketing decisions, what's your thought on the free the skate thing going on right now? Because personally,
Well,
I don't like the New Jersey design that is
see,
circulating.
that's where it happens, right? When the campaign first began, I was actually a big fan of it. I
Mm-hmm.
like the idea because, like, look at this thing. This is
Yep.
one of the most beautiful jerseys the game of hockey's ever spat out, And I love this thing. I love the memories attached to it, Here, I'll quickly move my thing over. Oh, other way. Sorry. Here we go. We got Captain Kirk making a great save over here against the San Jose Sharks. So we have a lot. There's a big attachment to these jerseys that we have here, and Free the Skate is a movement for a reason. That said, the new version that has been leaked does not seem to be hitting too hard with fans, myself included. The
Mm-hmm.
lack of white and the striping that is a little bit too similar to the third from a couple years ago, the stick and rink. So
Oh yeah.
there's definitely things about that have turned me off. But that said, once it gets on the ice, I'll probably change my mind because I did about Johnny Canuck. That said,
Yeah.
the marketing campaigns. It started out fun when it was only at Rogers Arena, but it's now starting to become evident that other teams are involved in it, and it's a full-on thing. And things are fun when they're a fan movement.
Yeah.
Um, it like Bruce, there it is, never would have been a thing if the Canucks Twitter admin just tweeted it out one time. That wouldn't have become a thing. It's because we did it once, and then it went from there. It works for almost everything. People
The
like
white
stuff
towels.
more if they have the idea. White towels, exactly right. So people like stuff if they have the feeling that they came up with it themselves. So, uh, seeing a comment in the chat. Personally, the New Jerseys suck. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna disagree on that.
At
But
least ketchup and mustard is what I think about it.
well, Cheech will like it.
Yeah, true. True. Yeah. Like what you said, if people think the fans came up with it, it's like a better thing. People thought it was a sign when there was a free the skate sign at the home game and it was focused on for a bit, right? And there's like, "Oh yeah, it's a sign. It's a sign, the Canucks organization supports us, they see us, blah blah blah." And then you start seeing like there was the ad on Georgia Street the other day. There was the billboard. I don't exactly know where the billboard is because it doesn't look like the one that's next to the Georgia Viaduct. Um, but
No, that's real estate for Clay and Clay only.
yeah, yeah, it's only allowed for clay. I was like, that doesn't look like the clay billboard was my first thought. And then
The
I was
Clay
like,
board.
the clay board, yes. Yes. Yeah, and then the ad on Georgia, the billboard, then the jersey leak happens. Yesterday I talked to Lachlan about it, who was I think one of the first people to put it out there onto the internet sphere, and then everyone hated it. And then today, there's the girl in the Pedersen jersey, which looks like it didn't have the 50 patch, so it looks like it's one of these from like last year. So did they send somebody? Because she wasn't sitting around Canucks fans, I will say that, in her seat. And also, I don't know, maybe I'm just like super sus of this. She also was involved in a Carolina Hurricanes video where she got driven out of the arena by Stormy the Pig. And usually, I feel like those types of videos where they're like make fun of the opposing team's fans, a lot of the time nowadays those are faked.
No,
So
Finn pieing somebody and whatnot.
yeah, they don't want like to piss people off, right? They don't want to
Mhm.
be. I mean, the Carolina Hurricanes pissed Don Cherry off, but um, they don't want to
Back in
piss
the good
people
old
off.
days, they would have actually kicked that woman out of the rink.
Back in the good old days.
Back in the good, and then
I
everybody would
can't
have
say
fought.
that. Yeah, everyone would have fought. They would have jumped onto the ice. Also, why was Carolina so quiet? Like, I get it was NASCAR night, but isn't NASCAR audiences usually louder? Like,
Yeah, they're rowdy.
they're rowdy. They're supposed to be rowdy.
Listening to their Richard Petty and
It was. I was so surprised. I was like, why can I hear the players right now? Like, it felt almost as corporate as Canadian arenas these days. Yeah, it felt so much like bait, and I don't know. I feel like it's a marketing ploy, and for that reason and that reason alone, I hate it.
for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah, no, for that reason, I'm just like, yeah, no, good night, end of game over. No, it's
Then
yeah.
again, though, as long as like if Thatcher's healthy, if he can get his McLean gear again, I think I will change my opinion.
Oh, yeah, he'd be the only one that would look good in it. I feel like okay, because last year, I feel like they're trying to delve into what it was last year. Because last year they had the Bruce, there it is, and then they go on a bad road trip in the East, similar to now. But and then oh, the window notification was about Gino Odjick passing away. I feel like I should mention that. If you heard a Windows notification, that was my news going off. Um, yeah. So last year they bring in the flying skate jersey, and it's they win 7-1 against the Calgary Flames. It's like, oh my gosh. And then they bring it in at the end of the season after it's kind of assumed that we're not making the playoffs. They bring it in for those last two games, I believe, against the Kraken and
the Kings.
The Kings, yes. I was there for both of those. I should know that. But then
And Spencer Martin show, by the way, that was still when
yes.
Spencer Martin was a god amongst men across the province of British Columbia.
Gosh. Yeah.
My boy Spencer Martin. Last year I spent the season as the part-time PA announcer for the Abbotsford Canucks. So whenever Al Murdoch was double booked, I took the gig in Abbotsford and got the chance to chat with Spence a few times over DMs and whatnot. But great guy, and the people loved him during that phase. From his first run down in January, and then that carried over back into Abbotsford. And every time he was called up from there on, the people just loved him.
Mm-hmm.
So that said, once he got thrown into somewhat of a starter role, doesn't work out as well. And that's not even on him, you know?
Yeah, it's
At
just
the end of the day, I think if you put Spencer Martin behind a Canucks team that was playing competently, like the way that they were under Bruce last year, if you compare the way that the team plays in front of him now to the way that they were playing in front of him when he got his inaugural starts in the Canucks crease there last January, he was certainly facing a lot of shots, but they were doing a good job of keeping them to the outside and not giving up those high danger shots. Whereas nowadays, Delia and Martin are putting up with those in the first 3 minutes of hockey games, as we saw tonight.
yeah, it's unacceptable. They're trying to do. I meant to mention this last night when we actually played Florida, but they're trying to do what Florida did last year, which brought them to a President's Trophy, is outscore their problems. But they don't realize they can't outscore their problems because they have a couple good wingers and a couple good centers, occasionally three when Miller wants to be good. But I mean, I should knock on it. He scored tonight, but yeah, it's just. The goalies, I understand it's a bad situation. You know, Demko's out. Demko's out for right now. People are saying he could have played on the road trip, so that maybe they're rushing him back from injury. Did for a lot of players.
That gives me PTSD for Roberto when he pulled his groin in 08. Like, they rushed that dude back way too fast, and it ultimately cost the Canucks the playoffs. Because it wasn't like Roberto got his game back after about 3 weeks, but that was probably 3 weeks he sort of sat on the shelf, and they could have rode what was that, Curtis Sanford that year?
I was 5, so I don't remember.
See that's where the veteran experience comes in.
Yeah.
Me and all my 24 years on this planet.
You need 4 more years.
Yeah, that's right. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Got me into the BCHL, and you're over here covering the National Hockey League. Wait, what?
What? Anyway, just another. Yes.
Go ahead.
Another reminder: like, comment, subscribe. Speaking of the BCHL, I'm going to take this last little bit of the show. I want to talk a bit about the Surrey Eagles, if you don't mind. They are for those of you who don't know, junior A team in the British Columbia Hockey League. Former members include Devon Taves, recent Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup champion last year. He's from Abbotsford. Brandon Tanev, who currently plays for the Seattle Kraken, our neighbors to the south, who joined for a season after he was participating in the Canucks prospect camp, while his brother, obviously, Chris Tanev, played on our team. I believe it was 2011. And then also Hamburglar Andrew Hammond, who's retired, I believe, but he's also from Surrey.
Just recently retired.
Just recently, yeah. What a legend he is. You want to talk
The
about
run that he went on, he was a fun guy to watch in the crease. That series that he had against the Habs when he was playing for the Sens was so much fun.
Yeah.
Never been so invested on a series that didn't involve a team that I cheer for.
Yeah.
But
I just
anyways,
I just
it's
remember that video of everyone shoving or throwing hamburgers on the ice, and then Curtis Lazar ate one when they're on the set. I think they were on the Sens together. That sounds right. But yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, Curtis Lazar decided to eat a hamburger off the ice that was thrown on for Andrew Hammond, a Surrey native. All right. So let's
But
talk about.
elsewhere, there's also Scott Gomez won a Western Canada Cup with this team as well
Mhm.
back in 1997. So like it goes very deep, this the pedigree of this team, and you look forward to where it is currently. A bit of NHL pedigree on it now. Ross Rolison on the blue line, son of Rolly the goalie Dwayne Rolison. So who and Rolly's had a great year so far. Actually, had two of his teeth nearly knocked out of his face on
Oh my
Friday night in
gosh.
Nanaimo.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
shout out to, I don't have the dentist name, but if you're from Nanaimo, if you follow the Clippers, you might know their sponsored dentist works on call. So we ended up taking Ross out to a dentist at about 11:30 at night to get his face worked on.
Oh
But
my
he's
gosh.
on the mend. We ended up sitting him last night, and but he's doing well now.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
know,
that's
he's
good.
yeah, the teeth are back in his head. And Ravishing Ross Rolison will soon be Ravishing Ross Rolison once again.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what's it like covering play by play for and like obviously traveling? You guys just got back from an island road trip,
Mhm.
with the Surrey Eagles. Like, what's the atmosphere kind of like for the BCHL?
Well, it's Uh, off the top, I want to say support junior hockey in your local community, whether it's junior A or junior B. If you have a team near you, go out and support them. It's an absolute blast, family friendly entertainment that's family affordable. So, we down at the South Surrey Arena, just outside of White Rock, we've had a really good atmosphere in the building. The crowds are starting to come in very well compared to where they've been over the past 5 years or so. The team themselves, they're a great bunch of guys. They're fun to be around. They're a hell of a team to watch on the ice. You got stars out there. You got the league Jake Bongo, who is Wyatt's favorite player, the stanchion Wyatt Arndt. Loves Jake Bongo. You got the pulverizer Eli Pulver between the pipes. You also got Michael Sochan between the pipes, kid from California, fantastic goaltender, and one of my accidental best friends now. I love Soch. You got Mr. Friday Night Jacob Bonkowski, who's now fifth in BCHL scoring right
Yep.
now.
Yeah, I saw that the
He's
other day.
he's been a monster this year. You got the tool man Tate Taylor on the blue line, an absolute quarterback. He can run a power play by himself, basically. He can pass the puck, he can score, he can do it all. They're a great bunch of guys. I don't want to leave anybody off in case any of them see it. So Ethan Reister, Zach Wagner, Cole Galata, Savik Brar, all the guys, all Ollie Gabrielson, Ty Brassington, fantastic group of guys. And they had a rough weekend there, losses against Nanaimo and Alberni Valley, but they're going into the BCHL All-Star break this weekend, which I'll be working up in Penticton doing the PA announcing.
Good luck for
So
that.
Jake Bongo, oh, thank you so much. So Jake Bongo, Eli Pulver, Ryden Evers, and Tate Taylor are going to be the Eagles representatives there up at the All-Star weekend, which includes the top prospects game. So scouts from the NHL and the NCAA both going to be in attendance for that. So expect some guys to try to make some waves in that one and hopefully improve their draft ranking coming up uh in the late spring, early summer. Um, but that's going to be a blast, and hopefully they'll be able to come back strong following that with wins over Chilliwack and Cowichan. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. I have a friend who's a Couch and Valley fan, so hopefully we win that one. That is their next home game if anyone's interested on hearing about where the Surrey Eagles are playing. They next play in Chilliwack on January 28th. Then they play January 29th against Couch and Valley's is all at South Surrey Arena, which is about an hour away or so from Rogers. A drive?
Give or take, depending on the
take, yeah.
traffic on King George, you know.
King George
and
yeah.
And specifically, so Saturday night there will be at the Chilliwack Coliseum. Sunday night back at the South Surrey Arena, and Sunday is going to be Chinese New Year night. So
Oh.
it's going to be a very special, fun game for that. We're gonna have some drummers. We're gonna have dragons. We're gonna have some giveaways. It's gonna be a great time. So get your tickets now. Tickets.surreyeagles.ca. I don't know if I was allowed to plug it, but I will anyway.
It's fine. Go Surrey Eagles.
And there's also our one of our equipment managers, Big Nick Johnston. He's been with the team for the past 10 years. It'll be his 100th consecutive game for his Ironman streak behind the bench. So
Oh wow.
we're gonna do a little something for him. Big Nick is the heart and soul of the Surrey Eagles, and one heck of a roommate as well on the road. So
That's great. All right. Thank you for giving a little spiel on the Surrey Eagles. Yes, they Surrey. For those of you who are not watching from the Metro Vancouver area, Surrey is like the second biggest city in the Lower Mainland. Yeah, I live here. I should know this. Notably, if you follow the Vancouver Canucks and you don't have heard Surrey, but you don't really know, we recently signed noted Clayton Heights secondary graduate. I think he graduated. He probably did. Arshdeep Bains, who now plays for the Abbotsford Canucks in the AHL. There are two Abbotsford Canucks who are from Surrey. Noah Yulson also. And yeah, a bunch of NHL players have come from Surrey. Surrey Eagles, great team. Obviously, All-Star Week's coming up. Follow Joey for updates. You're on this side.
I got one more alumni.
Oh,
I got one
yes.
more alumni I'd like to list off for the Surrey Eagles. He only spent 1 year with the club, but it was the 2012-13 season where the Eagles went all the way, won the Fred Page Cup, won the Western Canada Cup, and went to the national championships. Ultimately came up short, but in the broadcast booth, Brendan Batchelor.
Really? I did not know that.
Got his start in play-by-play behind up in the broadcast booth at the South Surrey Arena.
Oh my
gosh. He
spent
1 year there before he made the jump up to the Vancouver Giants for a few seasons, and then went from there to Sportsnet 650 in the Vancouver Canucks. So
yeah.
And now the booth down at the South Surrey Arena officially named the Brendan Batchelor broadcast booth. We had him down there on December 30th. For the home game against the Clippers, I had the privilege of having him up in the booth for a intermission interview there, and had the pleasure of passing along that news to him that the booth was named after him. And it's a great honor for him, and he absolutely loved his time in Surrey, and it was the most fun he ever had working in the game of hockey. So that said, hopefully within the next few years, after the Canucks get the first overall draft pick, the fortunes will be turned around, and Batch will be able to have a new favorite year he ever worked in hockey. So
hopefully, yeah, it doesn't covering a lot of losses in a row is not essentially fun. Yeah. Also, just as our last little bit here, I thought I was gonna give you a bit of time to talk about your Wigs for Kids fundraiser. I'll have a QR code coming up on the screen. Brings you to a webpage. Basically, you might know Joey has an amazing mane of hair. His hair's better than mine. I need to ask him for his routine. But yeah, talk a bit about why you're growing your hair out, Joey.
Okay, well, if you've caught any of our broadcasts this season, you've heard me talk about Wigs for Kids BC and the BC Children's Hospital Foundation. They fund the creation of custom-made human hair wigs for kids and teens who have suffered from cancer treatments down at BC Children's Hospital and across the province. Regularly, these wigs go from anywhere from $600 to close to $5,000. And when you're dealing with a kid with cancer, the last thing you want to do is have to fork over 4 figures just to get them a head of hair. That's where Wigs for Kids BC comes in. They provide these wigs free of charge, and these are custom-made human hair wigs free of charge to these kids. They also help families pay for medical or essential medical costs that aren't covered by their plans. By contributing to Wigs for Kids BC, you're making a tremendous difference in the lives of kids and teens living with cancer and their families across the province. So this year, the Surrey Eagles are trying to raise $15,000 for Wigs for Kids BC and the BC Children's Hospital Network. When we do so, March 19th, the Eagles host the Victoria Grizzlies down at the South Surrey Arena after the final buzzer goes. Myself and my color commentator, Lucas Celli, will make our way down onto the ice, and the Clippers will come out. And this lovely head of hair will get turned into an awesome wig for some lucky kid across the province. So if you guys can donate, please do so. You got a QR code on your screen right now if you're watching along on YouTube. If you're listening along on a podcast platform, you can visit me on Instagram or Twitter. On Twitter, it's @_Joey Pitt. On Instagram, it's @Joey.Pitt, or check out the Surrey Eagles on Instagram or Twitter. You'll get a link to the Eagles donation page from there. And together, let's try and make a big difference in the lives of some kids across the province who could definitely use a helping hand.
Yeah. Wigs for Kids BC, great fund. Personally, I've donated my hair before. I dyed it a bunch of times, but yeah, great cause, great organization, great job for the Surrey Eagles raising this money, and also pretty iconic that you're just gonna go center ice and just chop off all your hair. But it's for a good
be
cause
fun,
as well.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's going all the way to the wood too. I'm not just gonna cut it off to a certain short length. No, I'm going full Heisenberg. I'm shaving this thing.
Jesse,
we need to cook.
We need to. Jesse, we need to cut. Anyway.
Cut. So,
Jesse, get the clippers. I'm sorry.
Mr. White, you sure these will take them off?
Mr. White, I need to plug them in.
But anyways, Wigs for Kids BC, the BC Children's Hospital Foundation, QR code on your screen. Donate if you can.
Yes, all right. Thank you for joining us, Joey. Once again, the Canucks won 4-3 in a shootout to the Carolina Hurricanes, the second best team in the league, which is insane to say. Yeah, what a night. What a night, what a game, what a comeback, I guess you could say. I don't know. They tied it.
They came back from 2-0 down, and here, let me pull this more into frame for the last little bit of the shot. I want more of Captain Kirk behind me.
Oh, yeah,
so we'll finish this off here. It's a big win for the team, but hopefully it's going to be the last one they pick up this season.
Joey obviously on Team Bedard. Personally, I'm on 100%. Team he's gonna pull an Adam Fox and just refuse to sign other places. Except for, like, his hometown team, which is famously what Adam Fox did, was drafted by Calgary, refused to play, went to Carolina, refused to play, and now he's with the Rangers, and people are trying to get him in for All-Star. He scored an overtime winner the other day. It was insane. Yeah, alright. Thank you very much, Joey, for joining us today for this.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'd love to come back if you'll have me, if I didn't cut you off too many times, you know?
No worries. Sometimes I talk and I don't know where I'm going. So, if you cut me off, it's probably the end of my thought. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow me at RealKayame on Twitter. Joey at _Joey Pitt on Twitter. Follow at SGPN Sports, obviously. And hope you all have a great rest of your evening after this early afternoon game. Good night, everybody.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.